Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the BoxHard podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz. Ayaz, how you doing?
Good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Also on this week's show, of course, three shows in a row now, Sophia Di Stefano. Sophia, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joey. How you doing? You right?
Very good, very good. This show is going to sort of be, back to normal. Last week, anybody that listened to the show last week will know that we sort of switched it up a little bit. Part 1 and part 2 it was a bit confusing. We're back to normal this week with the standard part 1 where we review the fights from last week, and part 2 where we preview the fights coming up this week. I'm going to start over in America from last weekend. I'm going to start over in America at the Barclays Center. Of course, top of the bill, Deontay Wilder faced off against Artur Szpilka. Ayaz, I know that you was watching this fight. It was a really good fight whilst it lasted. I actually had Szpilka ahead at the time of the stoppage. Of course, Deontay Wilder picked up his 35th stoppage now from 36 fights. In the 9th round, a KO, and he completely decked Szpilka, and Szpilka was down on the floor for quite a while. He looked like he was in some serious discomfort. Talk a bit about that fight, Ayaz. What's next for Wilder? What would you like to see next from him?
I gotta give Artur Szpilka credit, because what he did, my word, he was doing very good in the fight. I agree with you, Joey, as well. I had him at least 1 or 2 rounds up, right? But then in the 9th round, during the fight as well, Wilder was hitting him with some good shots, but Szpilka was coming back. But in the 9th round, that right hand from Wilder, and Szpilka was completely gone.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just laid out. It's horrible to see. I know the camera kept going to his wife, I believe, in the crowd, and she was, in a lot of distress, and she was very upset. It's horrible when you see that, but 20 wins and 2 losses, his new record, and of course, Deontay Wilder, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, 36-0. There was a little bit of antics from Tyson Fury, who was sat ringside, of course. There was a lot of faces in the crowd as it goes. Off the top of my head, I know Mike Tyson was in attendance. Tyson Fury, Hughie Fury, Eddie Chambers, Malik Scott, Lennox Lewis was there as well. I think Derek Chisora was also there. So many faces in the heavyweight division, legends and present fighters. What do you make of the antics from Fury after the fight, Sophia?
I thought it was typical Fury. He's great at building up fights and generating interest, and he's entertaining. If I'm honest, I was watching it cringing behind my sofa. But no, listen, it's Tyson Fury, and he always sets up for great fights, and he builds up the fight well. And I actually do think a fight between him and Deontay Wilder would be a very good fight. But I think Deontay Wilder's obviously got a mandatory challenges against Povetkin. Obviously, those two fighting together. Well, I think, firstly, also the other thing is Deontay Wilder shares the same manager as Charles Martin, who won the IBF. That's Al Heyman. He won the IBF on Saturday as well, which obviously was the title that was stripped from Tyson Fury, unfairly in my opinion. So I reckon Al Heyman would probably actually want to pair those two up together first. But yeah, listen, it fired up the fight. I think Tyson Fury, there's so many exciting fights in 2016, but I certainly think that one is one that would get everyone very excited.
In my personal opinion, I think that I'm not really one to start pointing the finger about milking paydays and milking titles and stuff like that. But I don't think Heyman will be too quick to put those two against each other. I think that they'll have a few defences and possibly meet maybe 2017, the back end of that year, possibly. Obviously, that's if they can keep hold of the titles.
Well, that's the thing is if you leave it too long, they could lose it. And there hasn't been an American unification fight since 1997. So maybe he will want to jump on that.
Time will tell. We'll see. Of course, you sort of gave away the result for the second fight on that bill I was going to mention. Charles Martin, a bit of a strange finish to a fight, but he picks up his 23rd professional win with the one draw, of course. He's now the new IBF World Heavyweight Champion. Glazkov, 21 wins and one loss and one draw. His one loss came a bit unfairly. I mean, it was a sort of a close fight up until the point of the stoppage. It was ruled as a TKO in the third round. I saw the replay. It didn't look very nice. It was pretty gory. Glazkov's knee seemed to sort of buckle. I don't know if we've had clear clarification on what actually happened to his knee, but he was in a right bad state. His knee it was horrible to watch the replay. So an unjustly finish to a title fight of that magnitude, but these things happen in boxing. It can just happen at any time. I don't think it was an injury that had, bothered him in the past. I think it was just literally happened on the big night. So very unlucky for Glazkov, but he's had some serious luck in his career thus far anyway. So it all sort of leveled itself out on the night. I'm just going to mention a couple of fights on the undercard. Makij Sulecki moved to 22-0. He's a prospect in the super middleweight division. He was on the undercard of that fight down at the Barclays Center. Adam Kornacki, he moved to 13-0. Mike Lee, he moved to 16-0. And Ivan Golub, another little prospect in the welterweight division, picked up a first round TKO. He's now 10-0. Moving over to another place in America, the Bomb Factory in Dallas, Texas. Matt Korobov topped the bill over there. He now moves to 25-1. He didn't get the guy out of there. I think it was a fight he was supposed to win and looked pretty good winning. I didn't see the fight, if I'm totally honest, but he picked up a 8th round unanimous decision victory. So yeah, 25 wins, 1 loss for Matt Korobov now. Not much else on in America. That's really it. I think now we're going to move over to the card in London, of course, the massive card. Sophia was in attendance at ringside. I was in attendance at ringside, a couple of seats behind her. I think she had one of the best seats in the house, to be honest, Sophia, actually.
I was almost too close, Joey.
Okay, we're going to start with the undercard. I just want to mention the undercard. It was a very short card. I think there was only 6 fights on the night. Josh Kennedy, he picked up his 5th professional win. He fought a guy with 100 losses, but those 100 losses, now 101 losses. Wadi Camacho, he got a win. This was on points after 6 rounds. So Wadi Camacho now 14 wins and 5 losses. Jose Lopez moved to 6-0. It was a really weird stoppage, this one. He seemed to not really even hit the guy he was facing, and the guy just went down. It was pretty poor, to be totally honest. So yeah, Jose Lopez 6-0. Kay Prosper, he was also on the bill. He got a first round TKO. He's now 7-0. Tony Dodson, of course, picked up the win over Richard Houghton. Dodson was cut above the left eye, which required 16 stitches. Houghton, cut on the nose, was down from a right to the head late in the second round. But Dodson, of course, picked up the win on points after 6 rounds. So Tony Dodson now 32 wins, 8 losses and 1 draw. And now the big main event, the main event, the return of the Haymaker. David Haye against Mark Demori. Now, David Haye went into this fight, of course, with the 3.5-year layoff. 26 wins, 2 losses. And Mark Demori, 30 wins, 1 loss and 2 draws. The fight really, it was one that everybody was excited for. Everybody was watching it. My nan was watching it as well. She was watching it on Dave. It was on Dave. Everybody was watching it, to be totally honest, because of the terrestrial TV point of view. It didn't last very long, did it?
No, not at all. But I think what an emphatic way to make your comeback to the heavyweight division after 3.5 years out. A lot of people have questioned Mark Demori as an opponent. Okay, yeah, maybe he hasn't fought anyone of any notoriety or anyone of world-class caliber, but he has been very active. He had 26 knockouts from 30 of his wins, and actually in the last 2 years, he hasn't even gone past 4 rounds. So I think he wasn't a bad opponent to make your first comeback in. But David came in at a career record heavyweight. He's almost a stone over, and that's obviously everyone was slightly concerned as to his speed, his agility, his timing, his pace. But I thought he absolutely, got it spot on. His timing was bang on. Obviously, the punch power was evident to see with Mark Demori lying flat on the canvas at the end of the first round. And I just thought, wow, it was a really, really impressive. No nerves crept in. You saw when he came into the ring how much he was enjoying it, like how much he was sort of lapping up and soaking it up. And I just think, a lot of people also were questioning, would he get the support back after being out for so long? But also, as he's even said himself, sort of potentially letting down fans with pulling out of the Tyson Fury fight twice due to injury. But he sold out 11,000 tickets within the first week, and it was a complete. Considering the undercard wasn't that strong at all, he absolutely sold out the arena, and it was, Joe, I'm sure you'll agree with me. What an atmosphere it was! It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of fights, especially at the O2 Arena. There's always a pretty good atmosphere. Again, Joshua, when he fights there's a great atmosphere. But there was just something in the air. It sort of just took you. It really did capture everybody in attendance, especially those close to the ring. He did seem to really enjoy the atmosphere. That's one thing I noted straight away. When he come out, he just seemed to be loving it. And to be totally honest, I mean, there was a lot of criticism beforehand, people saying, how's David Haye sold, how has David Haye sold this out? Because, the undercard's terrible. The guy he's fighting's no good. I'm just saying, this is not my views, but this is what people were saying. And it just goes to show that those David Haye fans are possibly the most loyal supporters in sport, to be totally honest, because they've stuck with him and he's given them what they wanted to see. I was a little bit disappointed with Mark Demori. Of course, we had him on last week's show and he was speaking about his ambitions and what he wanted to do in the fight. And he just seemed to not really throw a punch, to be honest, but it's a lot.
I don't think he really got a chance. David smothered him so quickly, came right onto him.
I think that
really quickly.
I think that it's a case of it's easier to sort of say it from the outside, but there was a few times where David Haye caught him and sort of came off of him a little bit, like he didn't want to jump on him too quick, which I was a little bit surprised. I thought when I saw him do that, he sort of hurt him and backed up David Haye, sort of let him have some breathing time, and I kind of thought maybe David's looking to go a few rounds here. So I was pretty surprised when he did stop him in the first round, but I don't even think he threw that punch. Well, the punch that hurt him, the first, was it a left hook or a right hook? I think it was a left.
Right hook.
It was a right.
Right hook.
Yeah, when he caught him with.
First he started a left, and as he was going down, it was a right.
Right, yeah. I think it was the left that hurt him. The left, I don't even think he threw that with intentions to try and stop the fight, to be totally honest. It was just an absolutely fantastic, placed shot. Of course, Ayaz, you would have seen this fight as well. I know that you were happy for David Haye to be returning to, heavyweight boxing. What's your views on that fight? What did you think of it?
I'll tell you one thing. David Haye just sent a big statement to the heavyweight division.
Absolutely. And
I reckon, do you know what? There was rumors that his next, they're saying that in talks that he could fight a guy like Malik Scott, and in the future he could fight someone like Anthony Joshua, David Haye. Yeah, we do want to see that fight, but we touched on it a little bit last week, didn't we, Sophia?
Yeah, we did, Joey. You put me on the spot. Yeah, listen, I think that definitely is a fight that's going to happen, but I think it's way too soon. I really, for both the boxers, for boxing fans, I just think for a fight that's such a huge magnitude between them, I definitely think a world title needs to be on the line between one of them, because it's such a big fight. It would almost be a shame to do it now. I think David probably needs another fight, maybe 2 fights under his belt. You got to bear in mind, Anthony Joshua's only 15th fight. He's had his whole professional career in the time that David has been out. So I think there needs to be a little bit more time, and I think I see maybe summer slightly too soon, but I definitely see an end of the year clash, and that could easily sell out Wembley. Easily. If you look at how many people David Haye sold out on just David Haye alone, and Joey, you've seen the pull power that Anthony Joshua has at the O2 and the atmospheres he has. Imagine the two of them together, and there's a world title on the line, and it's 2 British heavyweights. Like it's epic. I get so excited thinking about it. But I think another point that also we need to bring up, and I think huge credit to Shane McGuigan. I think what a brilliant up-and-coming trainer, but he's got now George Quigg. I mean, he's got some serious boxers in his stable. And I think what a great job he did on David Haye.
It is a little bit early right now for that fight, in my opinion, as well, because even though David Haye looks sensational, we've only seen one round of David Haye. You know, he has come in at this heavier weight. Is he going to have some stamina issues? You know, is he going to have some ring rust in the later rounds? Nobody knows yet. So there's a lot of question marks still. I'm not ready
Joey,
to start.
Can I put you on the spot now? Because you did this to me last week. Now that you've seen David Haye fight, you've seen what he's capable of. If him and Anthony Joshua fight next week, who's your winner?
I just think, listen, Joshua's fast. He's got the size. David Haye sort of minimises people's height advantage. I think that David Haye would be able to, I mean, Valuev, you know, he wasn't very well coordinated. He was tall, but that's sort of all he was. He didn't have much skills. He wasn't fast. Yeah. Joshua's fast, big, muscly, fantastic physique. You know, he's completely ripped. I think that David Haye would be too fast for Joshua. And I really do like Joshua. You know, again, no disrespect to Joshua. I'm a massive fan. Massive fans of both guys.
Which is why I think this fight could be so exciting, because you never know. Potentially, it could be a unification fight down the line for both of them.
Absolutely.
Different paths of the heavyweight division.
Absolutely. I haven't seen any footage of it, but there was a video where apparently Derek Chisora crashed the press conference and started calling out Charles Martin. Did anybody see that at all?
No, but I think that's an obvious journey path for him to go down.
Yeah, I think that's a decent thing for him, because we did mention last week that he's sort of racked up about 4 or 5 wins now since losing to Tyson Fury. And this is what he seems to do, you know, lose at a high level, then he seems to go down a level, get a few wins, mostly by knockout, and then jump straight back into the picture. So good luck to Del Boy Chisora, who made the trip out to the Big Apple. Who do you think
would be an appropriate opponent for David Haye next then? So his next fight, which I'm hearing, is potentially May.
Right. Honestly, I think, and not just because I want him to get the shot because he's a friend of mine, but I do think Malik's got to be a really good fight for him. Purely because Malik has got a really good ranking. I think he's ranked maybe 7th or 8th. I'm not sure which governing body that is, but he's got a high ranking in one of the governing bodies. I'd like to see that fight. I mean, I'd like to see Haye in with Povetkin as well, but this is a path that I don't think he's going to go down, you know. But then again, of course, David Haye holding the WBA, that is pretty much Povetkin's route. But the WBA, they might fast track Haye in the rankings because he's got loyalties with their sanctioning body. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen in the near future, and it's going to be a cracking year, I think.
Agreed.
Okay, now part 1 has come to an end. We're going to say goodbye to Sophia. She's not going to be here for part 2. So we're going to bring on our first guest in a minute. But firstly, Sophia, thank you for coming on this week's show, and we'll see you next week.
Absolute pleasure, Joey. Thank you for having me on as always, and look forward to talking to you next week. Take care. Bye.
Okay, now it's time for our first guest on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the hottest prospects in English boxing right now, Tommy the Gun Martin. Tommy, welcome to the show, sir.
How you doing? You well?
Yeah, very good. Yourself?
All good, thank you. All good.
Now, of course, you've got a big fight. Probably, well, needless to say, the biggest fight of your career coming up on the 30th of this month.
Mm-hmm. So far.
Without looking past Hibbert, of course, it's going to be a really big fight. It's going to be a tough fight. Where do you see yourself going past this fight?
To be honest, listen, like I said, I've been asked this question so many times in this build-up. A lot of people, I don't know why, even the bookies are underestimating Wayne, and they're forgetting, I think, that he's the champion. So, listen, my full focus is on Wayne Hibbert, and I respect everything that he brings, as a lot of people know that we've done a lot of sparring together. So, my full focus is on Wayne, and then hopefully get the job done and look for bigger and better.
And of course, there was a lot of sort of banter between you both. How genuine is the dislike? Is it real dislike, or are you guys friends really?
Nah, he dislikes me at the minute because he's put his back up because he knows that the young gun's coming for him. But now listen, I don't dislike Wayne one bit. I really like Wayne, and I'm pretty sure that after the fight we'll probably have a beer together. But for now, everyone knows what happens. It gets close to a fight, tensions rise, and it's game time.
Now you've captured the English. Are you going that traditional route? Are your plans to go the traditional route, Tommy?
Yeah, definitely. But I'll win the Commonwealth first, and then I'd like to see what my options are after the fight, of course. But if there's a European title shot on the line, of course we'll go for that.
So how do you see this fight? This fight. Break this fight down for us. How do you see this fight going with you and Hibbert? Of course, as you said, you've sparred him a lot. You know how he fights. What are you expecting from him, and what are we going to see from yourself?
I think it's obvious. You can see in his last few fights, he has a lot of heart, and that goes to show when he's climbed off the floor in his last fight to still carry on and still be there and get the victory in his last one. But listen, he's a Commonwealth champion. He's a good fighter. But I'm afraid to say, Wayne, this boy's coming to beat you.
Now, of course, you've done a lot of sparring with a lot of top guys. Of course, you've sparred with Carl Frampton on a few occasions, I believe. Who are you backing in that fight, Frampton Quigg?
Oh, that's a good one. Listen, Frampton's a lovely geezer. We've been getting on like house on fire. We've done a lot of work together. Quigg's I've never really... I've only seen Quigg on fight night. I've never seen him behind closed doors. But listen, Frampton's on fire at the minute in the gym. He's looking strong. He's pushing welterweights back in the gym. And, I've got to stick by Frampton with this one.
Now, of course, you're at 140 right now. There's a lot of guys domestically in that division. Will you look to stay here for long, or have you got your eyes on moving up to 147?
Yeah, definitely. It's a brilliant division to be involved in at the minute. It's absolutely buzzing. Wayne Hibbert's just gone to number one, I think, in the British rankings. So obviously beat Wayne, and then I'll capture the number one spot amongst all these great 140 fighters. So I tend to make my mark once I beat Wayne and stay there and stay on top. So whatever my options are, whatever my team say, from the MGM to Barry Smith and Matchroom Boxing, whatever they want me to do, I'll do. So I'll fight whoever they put in front of me.
And I think when you got into pro boxing, when you started off, you've always been quite a big ticket seller. Do you seem to be selling more tickets each fight now? Yeah, definitely. It's growing. I can't thank my cousin JJ enough. I can't thank a lot of people like Nick Frampton. There's a lot of people out there who are doing massive tickets for me, and people that I can't thank enough, like my sponsors, Junction 17, take a lot of tickets. And as the better the fight, and this is what I say, I like to be in these great 50-50 fights because it just shows how my ticket sales are growing, because people love to see me in great fights. And everyone goes on about this, too much. Oh, you're worried about losing. I'm not worried about. Of course, I don't want to lose it, and I'm not saying that I'm going to lose it, but I'm saying I just want to be involved in great fights and keeping my fans happy. And that, by the looks of it, by the looks of my ticket sales, I just keep going up. So that's obviously what I'm doing. Now, of course, January the 30th, 1 year before that, on January the 31st, Danny Dyer walks you out to the ring. Will we see any other celebrities walking you out in the near future? Yeah, listen, when Danny's not busy, he loves to come to the fight. So he should be there January the 30th. But if something big comes out, he just won a big award last night. So listen, we'll see how it goes. Massive congratulations to him. How active do you plan to be this year, Tommy, providing all goes well on the 30th? Yeah, listen, an active fighter and a happy fighter. So I'd like to fight in March time again, because me and the boys are going away in April to Germany for a bit of a booze up. So I'd like to get another payday in March and then go away and celebrate with my mates in April. Yeah, so can I just get your prediction for this fight? If you had to sum up what's going to basically happen, you're going to win this fight KO? Is it going to be, you're going to have to go in the trenches and go to war like what happened with Hibbert when he fought Ryan? All these types of fights he's been in, he really can go to the trenches. He's proved it on numerous occasions. Are you prepared to go there? What's going to happen in this fight, Tommy? Of course I'm prepared. Listen, I've been away in training camp in the MGM Marbella, and my prediction is, listen, it's going to be a Tommy Martin win, and at the end of the night, my arm is going to be the one raised. Just a simple win, yep. Simple win. That's all I'm looking for. Moving on to 14-0. All right, brilliant. yeah, I'm just going to leave the last bit up to you. If there's any sponsors or any shout outs you want to give, now's the time to throw them in, Tommy.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Yeah, well, obviously I want a massive shout out to my sponsors, Junction 17 Cars. They've been with me since day one. Buy a lot of tickets, look after me every month, and let me drive lovely, flashy motors around at 21, which isn't too bad. You've got my managers, my team, MG and Marbella, who I've been out in training camp with for this fight. Can't thank them boys enough for the way they look after me and Barry. My coach, Barry Smith, is unbelievable, sticks by me, he's like a father figure. And the meat man, who does all my food and prep for the fight, and obviously Glove Game that have done all my kit for this fight. So thank you to everyone. There's been a massive part of Team Gun.
And absolutely, for anyone who wants to follow your career, can you just give everyone your Twitter, your Instagram, anything that they can follow you by?
Yeah, I think everything's at Tommy_Dagun, Dagun. Yeah, and same for my Instagram. I think that's the exact same as well.
Excellent stuff. Okay, Tommy, thank you very much for giving us a bit of time. I know it's pretty late at night, and obviously we're close to the fight. So best of luck to you, and we'll speak to you in the future sometime, definitely.
Lovely stuff. No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. Unfortunately, we've only got the one guest on. The one guest, of course, Tommy Martin. We just finished speaking to him. This week, we've only got one guest, so I apologise for that. We look to bring you 2 guests every week, so we'll have to make up for that sometime in the near future. So we're going to just whiz through part 2 now. It's just going to be me and Ayaz talking for the rest of the show. I'm going to mention the card taking place on the Friday of this week at York Hall. Ryan Walsh tops the bill. He faces Darren Traynor. So Ryan Walsh now 19 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Darren Traynor 11-0. That's for the British featherweight title, of course. Ahmet Patterson, he also gets out on this bill. He's fighting at 154 now. I think he's had a couple of fights there, but this is for the vacant IBF International Super Welterweight title, of course, Super Welterweight, also known as light middleweight. So Ahmet Patterson, he faces Ryan Aston. Ryan Aston's a decent opponent, 18 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. And of course, Ahmet Patterson, 16-0, the Frank Warren prospect. Lewis Petit, he also gets out again, looks to pick up his 18th professional win. That's really it for York Hall. That's on the Friday. We're going to now move over to Saturday. The heavyweight prospect Joseph Parker, he gets out in a strange fight that's taking place in Samoa. So Joseph Parker looks to move to 18-0. He faces Jason Bergman, 25 wins, 11 losses and 2 draws. And then it's the big one. It's time for the big one over in Los Angeles, the Staples Center. Top of the bill, Danny Garcia, 31-0, faces Robert Guerrero, Robert the Ghost Guerrero, 33-3 with the 1 draw. This is for the vacant WBC welterweight title. This is, of course, the one that they, that Floyd Mayweather relinquished. It's now up for grabs and it's vacant and it's on the line. We're going to get back to that fight, but I just want to mention also on the bill, Sammy Vasquez, of course. He's looking to do big things. He's in a WBC welterweight semi-final title eliminator. He faces Aaron Martinez. So Sammy Vasquez 20-0, Aaron Martinez 20-4 with the 1 draw. There's also a heavyweight clash, which should be a bit interesting. 10-rounder this one. Dominic Brazil 16-0 faces tough man Amir Mansour. And Amir Mansour 22 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. That should be pretty interesting. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that fight. That's really it. I think we should talk about the Danny Garcia, Robert Guerrero fight, Ayaz. How do you see this one going? I know that this is really, a lot of people are sort of saying that this is Danny Garcia's first proper test at 147. How much of a test do you think Robert Guerrero will be for Danny Garcia?
I think this is going to be a big test. Obviously, we've seen Robert Guerrero fight the likes of Mayweather. He fought Keith Thurman. So I reckon this will be a good fight. In my opinion, if I was to tell you who win this fight, I'm going for Danny Garcia knockout.
Do you know what? I have to agree with that, to be totally honest with you. When I saw that this fight was announced, I was a little bit disappointed. But it's a decent step up at the 147. You know that Danny Garcia was a real force at 140. I hope that Mauricio Herrera won't mind me saying. But apart from a couple of strange decisions that went Danny Garcia's way, he was good at 140. Now we've seen him go up to 147. It is a first proper test, I guess. But again, in my opinion, and if I'm being brutally honest, Robert Guerrero's well over the hill, to be totally honest with you. His last fight out, he won via split decision against Aaron Martinez, who's fighting on the undercard, ironically. The fight before that, which again was March 2015, he lost badly to Keith Thurman, really badly. That was a bit of a war, to be totally honest. He took a lot of punishment. He had a good win against Kamigai, if you remember. That was back in 2014, but that was a proper war. And then he lost to Floyd Mayweather. His last, big win, if you like, was against Andre Berto. That was back in 2012. So in my opinion, he's well over the hill. But there's been a lot of back and forth between the two dads. Of course, both of these guys are trained by their fathers. Danny Garcia, of course, trained by his father, Angel Garcia, and Robert Guerrero, trained by his father, Ruben Guerrero. So both of them have been going at it at the press conferences. Did you see where the security had to pull them apart, Ayaz? It was hilarious.
You saw that? Oh my days! The dads are going to be the funniest part in this fight. To tell you one thing.
Definitely. I love Ruben Guerrero, man. I like his little outfit. The fact he just wears a big sombrero hat and he's just got this this crazy beard going on. I just think that, to be totally honest, if he took off his shades and his hat and he walked past me in the street, I wouldn't even know it's him. I've never seen him without it. I think he sleeps in it. He's that much of a hard man. It should be an interesting fight though, whilst it lasts. But that's really it for this week's fights. There's not really much on. I'm just going to bring you a little bit of news that I forgot to mention probably in part one. Leo Santa Cruz's next opponent has been announced. A lot of people are a little bit disappointed. It's set for February 27th. He faces off against Kiko Martinez. Of course, Kiko Martinez lost to both of Quigg and Frampton, which are also facing off. What day are they facing off? Is it the 28th or the 27th of February, Ayaz?
Right. This is the same night, the 27th as well.
Right, there you are. So there you are. So a few hours later on in the night, Leo Santa Cruz is looking to make some kind of a statement on Kiko Martinez. Again, like I say, not a lot of people are very happy with this opponent. Kiko Martinez has had a lot of fights recently in Spain ever since he lost in a devastating fashion to Scott Quigg. So the real super bantamweight clash is happening over here in Manchester, of course. But there will be some action later on in the night from Leo Santa Cruz, and I'd really love to see that fight happen sometime down the line, hopefully the back end of this year. Is there any other news that you have for us, Ayaz?
Yes, I do. Amir Khan has been is now WBC mandatory. He's ranked first in the position as well.
Okay, so he's in line to face the winner of Danny Garcia and Robert Guerrero then, yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. That would be interesting. Hopefully that fight gets made. I saw something yesterday. I'm not sure who it was who said it, but someone said that they really don't think he wants the rematch with Danny Garcia. But to be totally honest, I think he probably does. It'll be interesting to see if he can avenge that loss. Is there anything else?
Yes, Arthur Abraham will make his Las Vegas debut against the unbeaten Gilberto Ramirez on the Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley undercard.
And that's, of course, for his WBO super middleweight strap. That really will be a good fight. This will really be a good fight. Of course, Gilberto Ramirez, a bit unproven, but a real top contender. So maybe he can make, Father Time play a part in this fight, and we'll see Arthur Abraham dethroned of his titles. A good champion, though, by all means, and definitely not a given for Ramirez, of course. So that's shaping up to be a decent little card, Pacquiao, Bradley. I think that's really it for the whole show, Ayaz, unless there's anything else to add.
No, there's nothing else to add.
Okay, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for listening this far. Thank you very much to my guests, of course, Mr. Tommy Martin, Tommy the Gun. He's out on the 30th of January. That's at the Copper Box Arena. That should be a really good fight against him and John Wayne Hibbert. Of course, a massive thank you to my panel member every single week, Ayaz Sumra. The show wouldn't be the same without him. And of course, a massive shout out to our newest panel member, Sophia Di Stefano. So thank you very much for listening this far. Please follow, please like, please subscribe. Please come back next week. Thank you very much.